All right, so when the machine first comes on, you are going to see this message here. Keep hands clear. Carriage will now move to set position. To clear that message, you're just going to hit OK and make sure you keep your hands clear. Then it's going to ask if you want to resume the last pattern. You generally don't, so you'll hit X. Now you're here on this designs screen. So these are just some preloaded designs that you can choose from if you just want something simple that you can use in your embroidery. To look through these designs, you use these page forward and page backward buttons right here. So page backward and page forward. You can see that we're on page 1 out of 7 here. That tells you how many pages there are, and that's true for any screen that has multiple pages. You use these buttons here. Don't try and use these arrows here. Now, one thing that's really important to mention right now is that this screen can be annoying because sometimes it's a touch screen and sometimes it's not. So sometimes you'll be able to tap right there and have something happen. And other times you won't. They won't be able to touch to move between these. So there's just something to know. If there's options along the right-hand side, those can be accessed by pressing the buttons next to them. So instead of tapping on this plus thread, we'll tap on the option next to it and it will move to the next thread. If that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to you right now, don't worry, it'll come with practice. Now, to kind of get around the interface, you need to use the menu button so that you can go to other areas of the interface. So in this case, we might want to do our monogram. So we're going to hit the A through Z button, but we won't tap on it. We'll tap on the button next to it so that we can select it. Now, this is a touchscreen. We can type out the text that we want, but before we do that, we need to change the font to the font that we want it to be. The font selector is this one up here. Then we can choose our font. Now this is where it's a little confusing because we can't tap here. Even though it's the same area we could tap before, we can't. We have to use these arrows. Not these arrows. Don't use these. Use these ones to navigate to the font we want. So if we wanted hollow block, we'd just go down and then we'd hit OK. And that's going to select hollow block font. Like before, we can page through by using the page forward and page backward buttons. So if we need numbers, we'd go here. So let's pretend that we wanted to type out my name. So we just type B-E-N. And we can't do it because it's saying that it's too big. So looking here, you can see it says that this is on the M3 hoop. The M3 hoop is too small to contain 3 letters. So we're going to have to change our hoop. And this will happen to you from time to time, so don't worry if it does. When the machine beeps at you and gets angry, it just means you just have to make a few adjustments. So we're going to hit menu again, and we're going to go here to the grid or the canvas. From there, we can actually change the hoop size. So let's go ahead and tap next to the hoop. And we want M's because those are the hoops we use. And we want it to be M2 because that's the one that we hooped earlier. From there, we can go ahead and click OK. No, we can't actually. See, so it always just beeps and gets mad at you. We can hit menu and then we can go back to A to Z. Now it says it's on M2 and we should be able to type out my entire name. Now there's a few settings that you need to be aware of here. One is that you can change it to vertical text by pressing this one. Nothing changes on screen, but when it appears on the canvas, it will actually be vertical then. So there's horizontal and vertical text. That's important if the way that you had to hoop your fabric leads it to not being straight on. So you need to go at a 90-degree angle. You want to be aware of that. You can also do large, medium, and small text. So whichever one is highlighted, L, M, or S, will determine how big it is. There are no like points like you might be used to in Microsoft Word or something like that. It's just large, medium, and small. And if this font had the option, we could switch between upper and lowercase right here. But the hollow block font doesn't have a lowercase option, so we can't see that there. And if we want to delete a letter, we just hit the button next to the trash can and it goes away. Let's put that back in. Now we have Ben all spelled out here and we can click OK. And now it's going to take us back here to the canvas and we can see where it's positioned there. Now this will correspond to the grid when you hooped. So if we want this to be directly center, we would need to probably move it down a little. And now it is a touch screen. So we can try and get it centered there. And we can also move it by small increments by using these arrows. So try and get that dead center there. We can also make it a little bigger using the scale up or scale down buttons. So once we're in scale mode, the top one is scale up and the bottom is scale down. Now you can only scale up or down by plus or minus 20% because if you go any larger than that, your stitches will be too loose. If you go any smaller than that, your stitches will be too tight and start cutting through your fabric. So plus or minus 20% is the most that you can do here. Now we'll hit this arrow down here to go back. This is our rotate button here. We get into the rotate. We can rotate by increments of 1 degree or 90 degrees. Now we'll go back. If we want to delete something off of the canvas, we just hit the delete button right there, but we don't want to delete that because that would get rid of what we have there. There are a few more options here. You don't have to worry too much about these right now, but if you need to copy and paste, you'd use this one. If you need to flip, you'd use these two. And this can be important for getting your orientation right as well, depending on how your fabric is hooped in there. This one can curve your text up and down, and this one will let you change the color of your text. It doesn't change the color of the thread. You need to do that manually, but if you want to see it visually, you can do it here. So say we were going to use the orange thread, we could come here and we could change this to orange. Then you can go on here. You don't need to worry about these options here. And then if you hit it again, you'll be back to the options where you can change the hoop and transform the size. So that's the basics of navigating in here. Then you're going to hit OK. And it's going to take you to the ready to sew screen. So now it's ready to stitch out. We can go ahead and we can load it on and we can go ahead and start our stitch out. But before we do that, I just want to point out a couple of other things here. One is we already saw forward and backward on thread. This pattern only has one thread, so we can't go forward and backward there. But if we want to change the needle that our thread is on, you can see right here, it's on needle 1. We need to go ahead and hit the arrow, and then we get these two options that look almost identical, but you want the one with one arrow. That's the one you want. Once you've tapped that, you can then choose which needle. So if the color I wanted was on needle 2, I would just hit 2, and then it changes to 2 over here. If you need to introduce a needle stop because you have more than 4 colors, so you want to stop after the 4th one, you do this button right here to change it from blue to red. Red is a stop, which means after it stitches that one out, it will stop. Generally, the machine will know how many colors there are inside of a pattern and will put in stops for you, but if you need to adjust them manually, that's how you do it. Okay, let's change that back to needle 1 because we're going thread orange onto needle 1 here, and then we'll hit our back arrow. And our back arrow again. All right, one last thing about the interface here is this help button. So that button is going to take you to the videos that are loaded onto the machine. If you ever need to quickly review how to do something on the machine, these videos are not the same videos you're watching now, but they can help you. There are 6 of them. There's winding the bobbin, threading the machine, threading the needle, changing needles, which you should never need to do. We will do that for you. Attaching the hoop and stretching the fabric. So those are just quick things you can access here from the machine. Go ahead and hit X to get out of there. And we're back on the ready to sew screen. And now we're ready to go ahead and load our hoop on and get started with our sewing.